What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to YGOPD, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Professional Development, and today I have a Tenyi Swordsoul deck to show you all. This is kind of what I have decided as my deck of the format going forward, at least until things shake up again with the new set coming out for additional sprite support here in just a couple of weeks, and then followed by some of that Ishizu Mill tier nonsense on the horizon right after that. But nevertheless, I don't want to waste a lot of time. I really think this is cool. I've been using it both in the TCG and on Master Duel deck profile to come as soon as we hit Diamond 1, of course. And with all that said, we'll go ahead and hop right into the deck profile. All right, hopping right into the main deck, starting off with our monsters, and we'll do it a little bit, I guess, straightforward for this bit. Maybe separated by package a little bit, but 3 Ecclesia, amazing card. Originally cut it completely because I just didn't like too many normal summons, but the more I tested, the more it feels amazing. You contribute it for cost, obviously that clears your board, so even if it does get interrupted, you still have the Tenyi line, so absolutely amazing card, always play 3. Same thing with our boy Moye. Finally picked up my own set of Moye. Really enjoy this guy, really cool. The draw 1 and search 1 is absolutely nuts. It just feels like you're so far ahead anytime this card resolves. And then long 1, the amazing card. Never thought it would feel this great to play a card that burns this much in time. It feels really good. Amazing extender. The level 10 synchros that this deck creates are just powerhouses all on their own. And then just the 1 Taya. You can play a second one if you want. I do play Desires, but I've not had it come up too much yet. I guess I'm really lucky for this deck. But 1 Taya is fine, but depending on your build, if you can't afford Moye or are waiting, maxing out on Taya is not necessarily a bad thing because it always is a 1-card starter when you have Swordsoul Emergence, whereas the rest require additional cards. But that is it for the Swordsoul monsters. For the Tenyis, we play triple Ashuna, pretty straightforward. This is our E-Telly from the deck for any missing piece. And then we're just on 2 of each of the Vishuddha, the Bounce, and the Adhara, our add back. This deck just plays really uniquely. It's very linear, but you have to be very good with your lines to understand how to do it and how to sequence things, and it's really good about being careful about what you're showing in your hand at any given time. So I try to hold off on the Swordsoul names and really focus on revealing those Tenyis and using the Tenyi as the primary piece, and then backing it up with the Swordsoul moving forward. And then we obviously play still just the 1 Shithana. Resolving a card like Heavenly Dragon Circle to get this out and keep playing is just nuts. So that is it for the monsters. We'll go ahead and get into the spells here. We play triple Swordsoul Emergence. I feel like this goes without saying. Reinforcement of the army, adding any Swordsoul is crazy. This card is really, really good. Level modulation comes up very rarely, every now and then, sometimes more for going second for a card like Yazi, but still great. 3 Heavenly Dragon Circle. Again, just playing through hand traps feels really, really good in this deck. I was playing Vessel too and more Tenyis. It felt really great at first, but then I realized I was maxing out on too much of the same thing, so I needed a little bit more diversity. So we did cut Vessel and lower the Tenyis just a little bit, but nevertheless, it's still really good. Circle is, I still think, a pretty good 3 of, if not a 2 of at the absolute minimum. And then, of course, we play the 2 Desires and the 1 Called by the Grave. This card says draw 2. I have never been more happy with a card that says draw 2 until Desires. This card is absolutely insane. Does everything you want and more. You play so many 3-ofs and multiples in here that are all really powerful that Desires just feels great. This is the first deck I've played where I think Desires just feels really, really, really good. So, and then the last card, obviously Swordsoul Black out there. And then the last package is just going to be my hand traps and my going second type stuff. I've changed my mindset on this. I'm prioritizing playing cards that are still good against the meta, but usable at any point. I want them to be live on turn 0. I want them to be live on turn 7 if we get there. And so that's where this is coming from. And I really feel good about this lineup. It does quite a lot, but this is more geared for the TCG, obviously, and Master Duel tier element isn't there. Max C is a card, so you're going to change up your lineup a little bit there. But we do play the 3 Mourner. This card is really, really good. Applies a lot of pressure. Having the damage on top of a card like Longwan, you just never feel like going into time is a problem with this deck, so you can focus on just playing the game. But having a Veiler that happens at any point, even on your own turn, is really, really nice. Similarly for DD Crow, having this to trigger at any point is really, really good. Pairing this with Cheng Ying too, your opponent's not going to be aware that you have this in hand. Just summoning Cheng Ying and then being able to trigger it whenever you want just by ditching Crow to essentially banish 1 from grave and then banish a second 1 from grave and then 1 from field is just really good. So 3 Crow is obviously an MVP. And then of course The only hand trap is the king of being used whenever you want is triple impermanence. This card is really good. There's not much to say about it. And then last is I've opted in for 3 Cosmic Cyclone. This could be whatever you want. You could play with Gamma, Ash, whatever, Bell. I like Cosmic. This does a little bit of different things. Runic Sprite seems like to be the main way to go, at least until the next set comes out. And it might still be after that. Being able to hit a card like Fountain is important. Mystic Mine has been left at 3, unfortunately. So we need a way to deal with that. And for decks like Swordsoul, Tyr, Invoke Dogmatica, a lot of them will end on just one specific back row that you're going to know what it is. Schism, Sulic, different things like that. Being able to out that right away without committing is just going to be really, really important. So Cosmic has done quite a lot for the deck. So moving on to the extra deck here. It's pretty straightforward. There's not much special to it, but we'll just go ahead and start with our level 10 synchros. We play 1 of the Sinister Sovereign, 1 Cheng-Ying, and 1 Baron. This is my favorite card. Best card ever printed. I love using this card. Resolving it is amazing. This with Blackout just feels insane. Like I can't explain it. Just the banishing, the protection, not being a once per turn is insane. This card just does so much for the deck. I've thought about bumping this up to 2. I almost want to just build a deck around this card. Like Cheng-Ying is just MVP. It's really, really nuts. So then we play the 1 level 9, obviously the 1 Xiaofeng. It doesn't really come up, for me at least it hasn't, but I mean, it's there, you know. Certain things come up a little bit more if you're playing the kind of Yang Zing lock with the dark. I haven't fully tested that to really understand, so we'll see as time goes. And then the level 8s, 2 Qizhou, pretty straightforward. I don't think you need 3. You typically only need 2, 1 for the main turn and then 1 for maybe mid game if you even get there. 1 Baxia, again, you could bump this to 2, but I think 1's fine. I'm almost ever using it only once, just to get the either summon back on my own turn going first, or just to spin things going second. But with Tyr being so relevant, I wouldn't be opposed to bumping this up to 2. And then just the 1 Draco Berserker of the Tenyi and 1 Crimson Blader. This has kind of been the tech I've been trying to float around with. It doesn't come up too often, but when it does, it just kind of shuts down and guarantees the game. I like cards like that where if you're in kind of an awkward position, you can still just close out the game. This really does it. Shutting off tier decks, high level decks. It's just really, really good. So, and then we play the 1 Yazi, obviously the level 7, mandatory there. And then, of course, we need to support the Tenyis. 3 Monk. I haven't cut this to 2 since I've started doing the Tenyi stuff. There is on occasion sometimes where you could probably get away with 2, but the more I test, the more I just want the 3rd. Having that 3rd name to go into like mid-late game is just really, really important. Getting the non-effect monster on the board without having to try to commit to your Sword Soul main deck monsters is going to be really important. And then we play the 1 Shaman, just a good reborn, a good way to climb into with monks. And then the last spot is a flex spot. I am testing Psychic and Punisher. I don't mind it, but you do kind of need like the level modulation stuff or different things like that. But it's overall not bad. I think ultimately I'll still just keep a card like Draco Masters of the Tenyi up here on the screen. But there are other options you can try. I always advocate if you're looking for another card instead of Baron as well, trying out cards like Satellite Warrior or Stardust Warrior. These are really great generic level 10s that are very, very solid. Obviously, I'm a Cheng-Ying fanboy, so playing a second one of those has not been lost on me. Or a card like Ruddy Rose to kind of manipulate the grave a little bit is just another option you have. So with that said, that's it for the deck profile. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. I will have a Master Duel deck profile of this coming soon. And with all that said, I will see you guys in the next one. Later.